Welcome back to The Haunted Beard, everybody. My name is Jake. Thank you for joining me. Today, I want to give you my thoughts and review on one of my most anticipated movies of the year, and that is Denis Villeneuve's Dune Part 2. I will just say, wow. I've got some thoughts, so here we go. So if you're watching this, I'm going to just assume you already know what's going on. You already know the plot. It picks up right after the first one ends, and just continues the story of Paul Atreides uniting with the Fremen and Chani and seeking revenge or justice against the conspirators who killed his father. And I'll just say, I am so glad that movies like this exist and are still being made within the Hollywood system. It just gives me a lot of hope seeing a movie like this and how well executed it is, especially given today's climate. Just the oversaturation with a lot of the superhero stuff and just, you know, the sequels and all that stuff. And the vast majority of the big budget Hollywood blockbusters that are coming out today, I don't really have much of a desire to see. They don't really pique my interest all that often. And it's difficult for me to go out and see a movie in theaters, just given the circumstances of my life and things like that. But not only that, but I rarely find a movie that I see to where I'm like, I have to see that in the theater. And this is one of those movies. And I'm so glad I did, because the theater going experience for Dune 2 was pretty phenomenal. Even before this movie, Denis Villeneuve is one of my favorite directors working today. And this is just another example of why he is one of the very, very best. This is a guy who is operating and executing at just the highest form, at peak form, and is making stuff that is just fantastic. And it's so cool to see a guy who takes the source material so seriously and has such a passion for the film that he's making, the story that he's telling, and man, you can just really see that come through on screen. And Dune Part 2 executes at a very high level in both of the main categories in terms of style and also substance. Now, in terms of the style, the visual presentation of this thing, it really can't be overstated how good it is. It is epic in every sense of the word, and that is a word that gets probably way overused, but it is definitely applicable here. Just in terms of the size and the scope of the story and just the world within the film, it has a feeling of something like a Star Wars or even like a Lord of the Rings. It's such this massive scale of a story. And this is a film that absolutely needs to be seen on the biggest screen possible with a sound system that will punch a hole in your chest. And I was fortunate enough, I got to see it in one of those RPX theaters, and oh my goodness, it was just an incredible experience. And Villeneuve does such a great job at just capturing this sort of larger-than-life, cinematic, awe-inducing feel. And it's not very often where I go to a movie and something happens in the movie that just feels magical. It just kind of hits you with that sensation of awe and wonder to where you're just kind of blown away. And this movie has, I'll say, at least two of those sequences where you're kind of just watching it and you can't even blink. You're just so wrapped up in the moment of it and just the emotion of it. It's just thrilling and captivating. One of the particular scenes is when Paul Atreides figures out how to ride the sandworm. I mean, it's such an incredible moment within the movie that it just kind of hits you with that just jaw drop, eyes wide, awe and wonder moment. And it's one of the many reasons that just makes this movie so special. And pretty much everything here, especially from a technical standpoint, is operating at a very high level. The production value is incredible. It's such an immersive experience. The world building is phenomenal. When we transport from Arrakis to the Harkonnen planet, just the shift in visual going from like all the, you know, the tans, the browns, the yellows, the orange to this stark black and white is such a, I don't know, just such an incredible sort of visual shift that it just adds to the memorability of the overall experience. The costume designs are fantastic. The cinematography is gorgeous. The editing, the pacing of the movie is just really well done as well. It's, 2 hours and 45 minutes long, but it breezes by. You never feel it. It never has this sort of slow, dull moment in it. It moves quickly. Every scene feels important and necessary, that it either serves some of the character development or serves the plot and is moving the story forward, or just serves in just continually, building and expanding on the world that is created. The music too by Hans Zimmer is also really great. There's a handful of moments where his score kicks in, man, and it just elevates the film even higher, and it gives you goosebumps. And yeah, it's just all around pretty special. But as I said, in addition to all the style and the technical aspects, this movie has some substance underneath it as well. It's got a really complex but interesting and compelling story, and is peppered with a lot of really memorable and really good characters as well. The performances here all around are really solid, but some of the highlights are obviously Austin Butler. I mean, my goodness, what he's able to do with Fade Routha is just fantastic. He's just terrifying and scary, just very intimidating, just an incredible job there. And I really like Zendaya's character. We really get to kind of meet her as she's barely in the first film, and I really liked her character, Chani. She's very conflicted in sort of her loyalty to her people, while also dealing with her feelings with Paul and the prophecy. And so there's this inner conflict there where, she's trying to navigate the tension. So I found her character and the arc that she goes on very compelling. I also, again, really liked, as I did in the first film, Rebecca Ferguson's character with Lady Jessica. She is one of the most just bizarre yet mysterious characters I've seen in a while, as every time she's on screen, she's just very difficult to read, but in a good way. She's just kind of an enigma. Like, I don't really know exactly what she's up to, what her motivations and intentions are, what she's trying to accomplish exactly. She's just very mysterious to me, but also another really interesting character. And then, of course, Timothee Chalamet with Paul Atreides. What a great protagonist he is. And his character obviously feeds into Chani as well. Just their relationship I find compelling, and sort of the skepticism on Chani's part, which then kind of leads into love, but also remaining skeptical of him and the prophecy, while also Paul is trying to navigate that as well, and trying to decipher, if the prophecy's real, trying to make the right decisions, how much should he trust his dreams and his visions that he's having. And so there's just a lot of inner conflict, and I just think they're very compelling characters. And out of the story and the characters come some really interesting and compelling themes with, fate and free will, and just responsibility and revenge and belief and unbelief. And so there's kind of, faith-like and religious elements into it as well. And again, with Paul Atreides' character and just the journey that he goes through, there's just so much there to unpack that I think that one watch, you can't even really get the full effect of it. But there's just so much more there too, with his inner struggle of again, trying to be responsible and do what's right, but also having that motivation for revenge. And he's not this sort of clear white knight. There's this mixture of positive and negative motivations within him all at once. He's conflicted about his destiny. He has to choose between his desires and his duties. And I just find all that just really interesting. Just a great story, extremely well written. And then I have to say, the last 30 minutes of this movie, as it builds to this climax, are just fantastic. Just amazing. You kind of just have to experience it, but everything that unfolds and how it unfolds, it gives you all the feelings and emotions that you want of this gigantic, epic, cinematic experience. And yeah, it's just pretty fantastic. And I also really love the note that it ends on, as it just kind of perfectly sets up the third film, which I can't wait for. So Needless to say, I had a pretty great time with Dune Part 2. Overall, as far as my grade, I'm going to give it a solid 9 out of 10, and it'll probably even go higher on a rewatch. I'm always hesitant to give a movie a perfect 10 out of 10 after only one watch, because I feel like part of what makes a movie a 10 out of 10 is it has to hold up to rewatch sort of stuff. But yeah, it's a fantastic film, and I feel like, too, there's even more that I could potentially get out of it by watching it again. And I think that's what some of the great movies do. You kind of pick up on more stuff and little details, and it kind of just grows and gets better with every view. But yeah, it's a fantastic film. If by some reason you haven't seen it yet, definitely go out and watch it. It is definitely worth your time and money. It's a fantastic time. So anyways, those are my thoughts. Decided to do it, I guess, something a little bit different, because typically I'm more in the horror thriller genre, but this is one that I was just so much looking forward to. I just really wanted to talk about it because I loved it so much. So anyways, those are my thoughts. Hit me up down below. Let me know your thoughts on Dune Part 2. I would love to hear from you. That is all I got for you today. If you got something out of this video, please do me a favor. Do not click that subscribe button unless you want to be haunted by the beard.